Hey guys, this is Mr. Thompson, and oh, hang on one moment. Okay, that's much better. Sorry about that. Today, I'm going to be having you guys put together another foldable for me. We've talked about one type before with the tabs, and today I'm going to have you do a different type of foldable. So once again, you're going to need glue and scissors. In addition, you're going to need at least 2 sheets of paper. Okay, now I have different colored paper right here, but that's not necessary. I will caution you against using notebook paper simply because of the holes down the side, and you're going to see what I mean in a moment if you do use that. But as long as you can make it work, that's fine. So I have my 2 sheets of paper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these sheets of paper and I'm going to fold them hamburger style in half, and I'm going to crease. Okay. And then I'm going to fold them in half again, and I'm going to crease. And so I end up with this right here. Now, there are 2 sides that have folds. You can see right there and this right here. These have folds. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors, and rather than spending a long time cutting this, we can make it real simple. I'm just going to shear this. I'm just going to cut right here, right where this fold is. I'm just going to cut that side off. Not too much, but I'm just going to take that right off, just like this. And I'm going to do the same thing with this at the bottom. No need to worry too much about perfection, unless that's just who you are, and then you can spend as much time as you want on this. But now, if you take a look, I now have 8 different squares of paper here that I'm going to use for my foldable. Okay? Now, you're going to either take your notebook, or this could be some notebook paper, or just another sheet of paper, and you're going to start gluing these down. Before we do that, we need to make an anchor tab. So I'm going to take all 8, and I'm going to fold the top. I'm going to fold about a 1/2 inch in, just like this. Okay, and I'm going to make sure and get all of them so that we have this anchor tab, and I'm going to unfold it. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take on my sheet of paper, I'm going to take one of my squares, okay, and I'm going to glue it down near the bottom. Okay, so not all the way at the bottom, but near enough. Don't start at the top because it's not going to work for you if you do. Start at the bottom, and I'm going to put just a thin line of glue on this. Remember, oozers are losers, so I'm just going to put this thin line right here. Okay, so not a whole lot of glue. And I'm going to glue this down near the bottom of my paper, just like this. Okay, so now I've got the first one glued on there. Okay, and I'm going to repeat this 6 more times. You're going to have a total of 7 of these tabs. Okay, so I'm going to do mine a little bit faster than you will. Just like this. Okay? So I have this tab right here. Now we're going to repeat this 6 more times. You're going to have a total of 7 tabs. Now, when you go to glue the next tab, I'm going to show you another one. Okay? So we're going to take our next tab. I'm not going to glue this directly on top of it. Instead, I'm going to put a thin line of glue, and I'm going to put that anchor tab just above the previous anchor tab. So let me show you what I mean. Again, just a thin line of glue. You do not need very much. Okay? I'm going to glue this down right above the anchor tab. Whoa. Okay, that was frightening. Technical difficulties, my apologies. Once you have this glued down, you'll see that this tab is slightly offset of the previous one. Okay, so we can see this one down below. If you lift up, we can see the entire tab. All right, now I want you to repeat this process. You're going to have 5 more tabs. You're going to have a total of 7 of them. One right above the other, going up your page. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and have mine done now. Your title is going to go on this flap right here. Throughout this video, I'm going to be introducing different types of chemical reactions to you. And for each type of reaction, I want you to put the name of the type of reaction right here. So the first one that we're going to do is synthesis. So you're going to put synthesis right here. Now, when we lift up to that tab, to the synthesis tab, right here on that tab, I want you to tell me what you know about this reaction. And you're going to see I'm going to give you a lot of information in this video. For the flap above it, when you lift up, I want you to write examples of synthesis reactions right here. So you're going to have the title of it, information about it, and then up here, examples. And each flap is going to go like this. Okay? As I said, we'll get started with synthesis. Now, I do want to point one other thing out. Right here is the name of the type of reaction, but guys, when you write this on your little tabs, I also want you to include this generic form right here, this A plus B yields AB. Both of those are important to recognize, that this is a synthesis reaction and that this is the generalized form that it takes. Now, synthesis is just two or more elements or compounds combined to form a new product, and these are some examples. Now, if I went too fast right there, remember, you can take the video back a few seconds and pause it. So don't worry about that. I'm going to zip through this pretty quickly so the video isn't 38 minutes long. So these are some examples. The next type of reaction is a decomposition reaction. AB yields A plus B. It's breaking apart. We have one reactant that ends up breaking down to form two or more products. And typically you're going to have to use heat or electricity, we call that electrolysis, to start this process, to start breaking those apart. Very rarely do compounds break apart on their own like this. And here are some examples of this. The next type, single replacement. What's happening is we have one element that's going to react with another compound, and it's going to replace an element in that compound. So it's like they switch places. Now, whether or not this reaction occurs is going to be determined by the activity series. This is on the back of your periodic table, and we're going to look pretty in depth in this when we talk about single replacement. I want you to include this in your notes. Even though you may not know what the activity series is yet, include it in the notes. And here are some examples of single replacement. Double replacement is just like single replacement, except instead of one element swapping places, two elements swap their ions. Two compounds will swap their ions, and so the A and the B, or you could look at it as the Y and the X, however you choose, will switch places with each other. Okay. Now these are aqueous compounds, and the word aqueous, which you've kind of seen before, you've seen that AQ on the bottom of your equations. Aqueous means it's dissolved in water. Water is not reacting here, but the compounds have to be dissolved in water for them to start this reaction process. Now, one or more of these products will have to either be a gas or a precipitate, or we're going to talk about a few other things that may come, but it's not just going to remain a mix. And so on this one, you're going to have to check to see if this will occur by looking at the solubility rules. This is not the activity series. We're looking at the solubility rules. Same thing as before, though. Write it down. We're going to talk about that in class. Here are some examples of some double replacement. Combustion is simple. Combustion is very simple. You already are probably aware that combustion means it's going to burn, or you might think of it as blowing up or something like that. All combustion is a chemical or compound will burn when in the presence of oxygen. We mix it with oxygen and it will burn really well. Heat's going to be released. And here's the deal. Water and carbon dioxide are always the products. Oh, it's so wonderful. All you have to do is balance it. You always know it's going to be carbon dioxide and water. If there's another element mixed in with that hydrocarbon, then that element will also appear in the reactants. But you know there will always be carbon dioxide and water, as we can see through some of these examples on this page right here. The last type of reaction that I want you to include is the acid-base reactions. Now, we're not going to talk a whole lot about acid-base reactions right now, but it is still a type of reaction, and I want you to include it in your notes. It's really simple. It's a double replacement reaction. If you look up at the top at the general form that I gave you, I didn't put X and Y this time. You've got an acid. Remember, acids always begin with H. They always start with hydrogen. And then you've got a base, and those typically end in hydroxide, OH. Now, when they react, it's a double replacement. It is going to form water, H2O, which you can see, and a salt. And you can kind of see up there how I represented. This is why you neutralize acids with bases and bases with acids. The water and the salt are a lot less harmful than the original acid or the base that might have been spilled. So if you spill an acid, you dump a base on it, they react, they'll form that salt and that water, and it's a lot safer for you to clean up than if you were trying to clean up that acid. And here are a couple of examples. Notice that on the first one, there's a salt, and it's actually what we're familiar with, table salt, sodium chloride, NaCl, but any anion and cation combined can be considered a salt. So even on the next one, potassium fluoride is still a salt.